What's happening, people? I'm undefeated Cruiserweight Commonwealth Champion. Subscribe to Sporting Icons to see the latest on what's going on.
Right, so I want to talk to you all about this weekend's upcoming fight card, which will be headlined by John Ryder. And we'll get onto that fight in a bit. But the card is stacked, man. Absolutely stacked. And considering it's at the Copper Box as well, not the biggest arena in the world, but it's real full of talent. And for those of you in America who don't really know too much about British boxing, but are keen to learn, this is the kind of event that you need to be watching. It's a grade above a next-gen show. It really is. But there's so many people on this card, so many fighters that could go on to achieve world level. They really, really could. And I'll give you a rundown of a lot of the fighters on here. Now, Charlie Duffield, I'll start off with him. Now, Charlie Duffield, he's 6-1. He's light heavyweight. He's got one loss on his record, which unfortunately for him happened in the very final round where he got stopped. So this is, I don't want to say a comeback because he's still very, very early on in his career, but he's a very good fighter, Charlie Duffield, and I really want to see him do well. So keep your eye out for Charlie Duffield. But the card improves dramatically from here on out. I mean, Louie Lynn is a fantastic boxer. He really is. I like him. He's featherweight, of course, but he's going to be doing a 6-rounder against Rafael Castillo. I've seen Castillo before, but I forget who against. But I've seen him as the opponent for quite a few fighters before. But Louie Lynn, he's one of these guys where he's on the right road. That's just my opinion. It really is. Now, Martin J. Ward. Now, last time out, he lost to James Tennyson. Hence the reason why James Tennyson got a shot at Tevin Farmer. Had Martin Ward won this one, then he would have been in there against Tevin Farmer on the Boston card this past weekend. But it just is what it is. So Martin Ward, this is his comeback since that defeat, and he's going to be taking on a guy called Mohamed Kambaluta. I don't know who Kambaluta is. I've never heard of him, to be fair. But this is only a 6-rounder. Martin Ward, he's got quite a few wins under his belt, no doubt about it. But as I said, last time out, that one defeat against Tennyson was gutting for him, absolutely gutting for him. It really was. But outside of that, he has won 19 fights. So Martin Ward, he's a great fighter. And before that loss, a lot of people were talking about him potentially being a world champion at some point. And who knows what would have happened if Martin Ward had fought Tevin Farmer. Who knows? But Martin Ward will be on this card, and his comeback, Reece Bellotti. Now, Reece Bellotti is, again, he lost his last fight to Ryan Doyle, who is also on this card. So again, this kind of goes to show you that sometimes when the right fight comes along, you need to be switched on. And I know things happen in fights, they really can't be helped. But had Reece Bellotti won this one, he'd have been in a very, very good fight, potentially against Jordan Gill, which Ryan Doyle duly is. But you know what, we'll get onto that one in a bit. But Reece Bellotti, he's going to be fighting, and hopefully he gets a win, which I imagine he would, against a guy called Brian Morena. I don't know who he is, but this is only a 6-rounder. But Reece Bellotti is an excellent fighter. Now, unfortunately, we have Jake Bull versus Craig Richards cancelled. Jake Bull, he pulled out of the fight yesterday. And for me, this was one of the fights of the night. This is one I was really looking forward to. Both of them only have one loss on the record against very, very good opposition. And for me, this fight would have been an absolute war. Light heavyweight. I rate both of them guys very, very highly. Now, Craig Richards will still be on the card, waiting for an opponent to be announced. But it is unfortunate what happened with Bull. He's saying that he injured his hand. Now, unfortunately for Craig, and whenever a fighter pulls out, the opponent is always going to be looking and saying, is this legit? Is it not? And when it is legit, people are always going to question, is it a legit injury? We don't know. Now, of course, with Jake Bull, he's just recently joined up with Team Ingle as well. And, of course, he was looking forward to coming out and having Dominic Ingle in his corner. But unfortunately, this fight is not going to happen, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but I am gutted for Craig Richards, of course. But Craig Richards will still be on the card, and he's an exceptional light heavyweight talent. I rate him very, very highly. Now, Felix Cash. Now, here's a guy who is looking the real deal. He's 9-0, so still very, very early on in his career. Middleweight as well, of course, and he's going to be fighting Stephen Daniel, who's only got 1 loss on his record with 14 wins as well. And this will be for the vacant WBC International Silver Middleweight title. Could argue potentially maybe it's a bit early for Felix Cash to be getting these kind of titles, because when you get these kind of titles, you are propelled up the rankings, which means big opportunities are knocking on the door, and if you're not ready, it's not too good. So a loss could truly happen if he's not ready, which at only 9-0 right now, I think is a bit early in my opinion. I think that he shouldn't really be going for this kind of title until he's about 15, 16-0, something like that. But you know what? If he's ready, he's ready, and good luck to him. I like Felix Cash a lot. He's a very, very good fighter. Very good. If you've never watched Felix Cash before, make sure you tune in to watch this one. Stephen Daniel, I don't know who he is. I have to be perfectly honest, but clearly he's got to be quite good for this to be for the WBC silver title at middleweight, of course. Now, a fight that I know a lot of people are looking forward to, I certainly am, is Isaac Chamberlain versus Luke Watkin. Now, this could have potentially have been the headliner. Let's be real. It could have been. Both of these guys, their last fights, they lost, both of them, to Lawrence Okolie. Isaac Chamberlain against Lawrence Okolie, very, very boring fight, let's be real. It's not a fight that people really want to see. They're all British beef, and it was a headliner as well. Both of these guys put their undefeated records on the line, and it turned out to be a bit of a stinker. Of course, it didn't help the fact that Chamberlain got dropped early in that fight and pretty much made it defensive for the rest of it. Of course, he had problems with his corner and things like that. So there's no real excuses. Well, sorry, there are excuses, but he's not really going to be making the excuses. But one loss shouldn't change anything. And Isaac Chamberlain is a very, very good fighter. Very, very good fighter. And Luke the Duke Watkins, of course, he was a former Commonwealth Cruiserweight champion as well, where he lost that title to Lawrence Okolie. So again, that's his one and only loss. So these two, where they both lost to Okolie last time out, are now coming together. So it's a huge, huge statement for both of them. Whoever wins this one is propelled again. The loser, I'm not too sure quite where the loser goes. It's unfortunate in some ways that these two guys have to fight when they've already lost the fight beforehand, if you know what I mean. I think that I wouldn't have blamed either of them to take on a couple of journeymen and then maybe fought, but both of them want to bounce straight back in. They're not happy about the loss. Luke Watkins, for whatever reason, he didn't throw his hands against Lawrence Okolie, and Lawrence Okolie was just telegraphic and ended up stopping Luke Watkins, which unfortunately for Watkins, he lost his Commonwealth title. So this is a real good fight. It's one that I'm going to be watching on the edge of my seat. I can't wait for it. I'm not expecting a boring fight. Both of these guys are out to prove a point. So I'm fully expecting an absolute war between them. Now, again, as I said, this could potentially have been a headliner. Speaking of potential headliners, Ted Cheeseman versus Asinia Byfield. Now, I could probably do a video just on this fight. I really could. Now, this will be for the vacant British super welterweight title. Ted Cheeseman, he's undefeated, of course, and Asinia Byfield's got one loss on his record where he lost on points. But Ted Cheeseman 14-0 and Asinia Byfield 14-1. So they both got 14 wins on their record. Ted Cheeseman's probably the bigger puncher. I think that's fair to say, and probably the more skilled fighter and the more disciplined as well. But Asinia Byfield is awkward. Proper awkward. Imagine a smaller version of Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder, the way that they just awkwardly just throw punches to frustrate the opponent. So the glove is always in the face or in the view of the opponent, so the opponent can never ever get in range, can't ever find their range against Byfield, because Byfield will do that as he's moving all the time. Very frustrating fighter for the opponents, of course, but it works. It really does work. And Asinia Byfield is, I could put it, a superb trash talker. I mean, he's one of these kind of guys. I mean, if you look at it from the outside, it's entertaining. But if you're the opponent, I imagine you just want to grab him by the throat and strangle him to shut him up. He's one of those kind of guys, you know. He just constantly doesn't stop talking and will just come out with things like, do you know, like the lads on the street, no, I'm saying blood. What you talk about blood? He's one of those kind of ones where he just doesn't shut up. He's like a little gnat. He just keeps on goading you and goading you and goading you. Ted Cheeseman, polar opposite. Calm, cool, collected. And Ted won't let on if Byfield is getting to him and making his blood boil. Ted will just sit there in the press conference, which is happening on Thursday, and probably just look at him and just smile. But it's got to be getting to him. I don't know anybody who could not let Byfield get to them. He just finds a way to just get under your skin. He really does. And I'm pretty sure that Ted Cheeseman has visions of Asinia Byfield getting clipped and going limp on the floor in front of him. That's what Ted Cheeseman wants to do. I think Ted Cheeseman wants to hurt him. He wants to bash up his ribs and spark him cold out. Now, to beat Byfield, you need to break away his body because he moves all the time and he's so awkward. He switches from southpaw to orthodox and he's always sticking the glove out. They're not like punches. He's just sticking them out all the time. So the opponent is always having to fight behind their own guard because they don't know which one is just a push punch or a proper punch. They don't know which one it is. So they're having to try and look through their own guard plus his glove permanently in their face. Very, very awkward. And of course, Byfield will chat to you the whole fight through. And he appears to have a very, very good engine on him as well. But it's just damn awkward. But I think if Ted Cheeseman calms it down and doesn't chase him, at some point he'll end up tiring out Byfield. And I think that's when Ted Cheeseman will take over. Ted Cheeseman is a quality fighter. For me, he's above British level. He really is. But this is the kind of fight where he needs to do this to make a statement to say to the likes of Scott Fitzgerald and Anthony Fowler that I am actually the man. I've now got the belt. It is for the British title. So you can talk all you want. You can say that you're the best, but I am the best in Britain right now. And Ted Cheeseman, now, of course, he is sponsored by us here, Sport and Icon. So big up to Scott for sorting all that out for us. And I can't wait to see this fight. I cannot wait. I can see Ted Cheeseman potentially chasing around Byfield for the first couple of rounds. But I think if Ted just holds the centre of the ring and just remains disciplined and doesn't just go for the one-punch knockout, then I think eventually he may end up breaking down Byfield. Byfield hasn't fought anybody as good as Cheeseman, in my opinion, whereas Cheeseman has on 2 occasions, in my opinion anyway. But Byfield against Sammy McNess, that is probably one of the most awkward fights that Sammy McNess will ever be in. Because he just didn't stop moving. He was just running around and tagging you. He's like a wasp. Okay, he just keeps on stinging you. And as I said, he's not the biggest puncher in the world, but with all the punches that are coming, if one hits you on the button, it just saps away your energy. He's not a one-punch knockout artist at all. But, I mean, potentially he could be. I mean, everybody can go to sleep, of course, but Byfield just doesn't stop moving. And Ted just needs to be disciplined, box him, and when he eventually traps him, unleash on him. And if Byfield wants to survive that, it's a case of tuck up and take the punches. Maybe Teddy will start to slow down. We don't know, but I think Teddy's got a very, very good engine and he don't mind being hit. Teddy's like a machine. He really is. And he's, in my opinion, the favourite for this fight. I know a lot of people and a lot of professional fighters are picking Byfield to win this one and to win it on points. But for me, I think Ted Cheeseman is the better boxer and more disciplined. But Byfield, as I said, he has a way of getting under the skin and making fighters fight out of their comfort zone. So they don't focus. Anyway, I'm not going too much about this one because this will just be a whole video just on Ted Cheeseman and Byfield. For me, this should be the main event. And that's no disrespect to John Ryder at all, but it should be, in my opinion. So we'll move on from that one. I think that Ted Cheeseman is going to win this fight, by the way. I think that he'll probably stop Byfield mid to late rounds. And I think that Cheeseman will be winning the fight until this one, with Byfield running around the ring a lot and just jabbing him. And fully expect Ted Cheeseman to have a very, very red face come the end of this one. But ultimately, who knows? It's boxing, right? So Ryan Doyle versus Jordan Gill. again, very, very good fight. Jordan Gill is an exceptional fighter. He's trained by Dave Coldwell, and Dave Coldwell rates him as one of the best boxers in the world. That's how highly he rates Jordan Gill. Okay, and this will be for the Commonwealth featherweight title as well. Ryan Doyle, as I said, he has got a win over Reece Bellotti, which, again, I mean, a lot of people would have considered that one to be a bit of a shock. But I don't know, I think that Ryan Doyle is so much better than what a lot of people give him credit for. But now he's got an opportunity to really stamp his name in the history books of British boxing by becoming Commonwealth featherweight champion. Even though Ryan Doyle's had one fight less, I think you could probably say that Ryan Doyle has got the more experience because he's been in real deep water. Jordan Gill really hasn't. So Ryan Doyle will know how to old man him if necessary. He's not an old man, okay, but he could use those kind of tactics because he's been in with some very, very good opposition. Better opposition, in my opinion, than what Jordan Gill has. But Jordan Gill is probably the more skillful, and I think Jordan Gill may win this one if he stays focused. As all fights, if you can stay focused and stick to your game plan and change your game plan if it's not working, so always have a B and a C and a D option, then you should usually win. But I think that Jordan Gill, he's going to be the favourite. He's 21-0, and Ryan Doyle is 17 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw. So as I said, you know, they've got or Jordan Gill's had 1 fight more, but I feel that Ryan Doyle is the more experienced. I know it doesn't make too much sense, but in my mind it does. I can't explain it. So anyway, moving on to the main event, John Ryder against Andrey Sirotkin. For me, that's not a headline act. I don't want to be rude, but it's not. I like John Ryder. I'm a big fan of John Ryder. A lot of you guys know that. But I think it's a case of I don't know who Sirotkin is. It's almost like an Anthony Yarde headline fight. Again, I don't want to be rude to Anthony Yarde, but when he fought that guy the weekend, I wasn't interested, and most people weren't. And I think a lot of people are not too interested in this one. I don't quite know why. I mean, I know John Ryder, he was supposed to be, or potentially fight in Chris Eubank Jr. at one point, so I don't quite know why that fight happened. I'm presuming because Jr. was scheduled to fight the World Boxing Super Series. And now, of course, Junior looks like he could be fighting James DeGale. So John Ryder, he's got a chance for the final eliminator for the WBO World Super Middleweight title. And Andrey Sirotkin is an undefeated fighter, 15-0. And I don't know who's going to be the favourite on this one because I don't know who Andrey Sirotkin is. I mean, he's from Russia, he's 33 years old, so he's been around a bit. I'm presuming he's had a pretty good amateur career. I'm presuming so. Not the biggest puncher in the world. Out of his 15 wins, only 4 by knockout or stoppage even. And he hasn't really beaten anybody that, again, that I know. I don't know any of these people that he's beaten. So, yeah, I mean, if I had to choose somebody, it's going to be John Ryder. I think John Ryder is coming on leaps and bounds. I really do. As I said, he does have a couple of losses. Well, 4 losses, of course. 26 of those by win. And 14 of his 26 wins by knockout. But this super middleweight fight is, I'm hoping John Ryder's going to do it. Okay, he's southpaw. He's very, very tough. Very, very tough. And of course, he knocked out Jamie Cox last time out in only 2 rounds. And he's been in with Rocky Fielding, which again, he lost on points. So, you know, the kind of losses that he's only ever been stopped 1 time, which was, you know, a little while ago against Nick Blackwell. And a lot of you guys will know Nick Blackwell for his fights with Billy Joe Saunders, Chris Eubank Jr., etc. And of course, he's had to retire now due to injuries to the brain. But it's no loss. It's no shame to lose to Nick Blackwell. It really, really isn't. But John Ryder, for me, is a talent that goes under the radar. He really is. I mean, losing against Jack Arnfield as well. I mean, Jack Arnfield is a fantastic fighter. A lot of you guys here in the UK will know exactly why it is that I'm saying that. So when John Ryder has lost, he's lost to very, very good opposition. And how good is Sirotkin? No idea. I wish I knew who he was so I can give you a proper analysis for this main event. But because I don't feel it's main event. And that's not to say John Ryder doesn't deserve to be a main eventer. He does. Okay, he is a main event guy. But against who? I think he needs an opponent for that. But for me, I think Ted Cheeseman and Byfield is a more worthy headliner. I think that Watkins and Chamberlain is a more worthy headliner, and you could probably argue that had Ball versus Richards happened, that would have been more worthy of a headliner too. But hey, it is what it is. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the whole card. Very, very good card. Tomorrow, so Wednesday, you'll have the public workout. Thursday, the final press conference. And as I said, expect a lot of trash talk from Byfield on this one. Expect a lot of trash talk. And Friday, the weigh-in. And Saturday, the fight night. So yeah, excellent card. Excellent card. So I hope that if anybody's going, have a great night. If not, watch it on Sky Sports. It's going to be a real doozy of an event. So drop your thoughts below, click that thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.